Good afternoon, everybody. It's WTS weather here, and today we have a little bit of a break in the tropics, somewhat of a break in the tropics. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the first winter weather forecast of 2024 from my channel. I know it's a little bit far out. We do have a break. This is probably going to be one of the only breaks that we have in tropical activity for the next couple of weeks. Anyways, let's get straight into it. I think this is going to be an awesome winter. All right, so what I'm starting off with here first is our pressures out in the Pacific. And the reason I'm showing you guys this is because I'm sure you guys have heard of La Nina and El Nino cycles. Currently, and we're in somewhat of a neutral state right now. But as we see, I'm going to continue now, and we're in September here. We see some of these high pressures starting to build out in the Pacific. What that means is we're going to end up seeing a strong La Nina develop here with these high pressures, this blocking high out in the Pacific. We're going to see strong La Nina. The jet stream he's going to get pushed up north and end up coming down like this. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the effects of this La Nina. You guys are going to be seeing just what this is going to be ended up doing for our winter look, and we're going to see this La Nina only get stronger. This high pressure, what it's going to do is it's going to allow for this polar jet, this Arctic jet, to push down into the United States and bring tons of cold air along with it to the northern states, especially the Northwest here. And again, as we move forward, it only gets stronger, this La Nina. And especially in February here, we're going to be dealing with a very strong La Nina. We're going to be dealing with a lot of cold air over the course of this winter. Here, I'm showing you guys what some of the long-range climate models are presenting for temperature anomalies over the course of the winter. Here we have December. There's a ton of cold air pushing its way down into the northern United States, into the Northeast. We have some seasonably cold temperatures out here. And again, the Southeast is very warm. The Southwest is very warm as well. But the North is going to be staying nice and cold, which is a trend that we're only going to see continue here. As again, very cold temperatures are forecasted this winter in the northern states. That polar jet is going to be active. We are going to be seeing a ton of Arctic blasts pushing their way down into these Midwest states and especially into the Northeast a few times as well. And here's February. Yeah, you guys see it. Very, very cold temperatures. It's very seasonably cold temperatures out in these northern states. In the Northeast, we're sitting at around average temperatures. The South is very warm. South is very warm, and the North is very cold, and that's what we're going to end up seeing this winter. And now I want to go ahead and show you guys the precipitation over this winter. So here is December. Again, typical La Nina. Very, very wet up in the Northeast. Very, very dry in much of the southern states. Again, some of that moisture will be working its way into the Great Lakes area, into the Northeast. It's been a rough couple of years in terms of winters for the Northeast, but I think this is going to be a big winter. I think it's going to bring a lot of cold, and it's going to bring a lot of snow for a lot of areas that haven't really got snow in quite some time. This is January now here, and again, we see on average some high precipitation off in the Northwest. Here, this month of February, this model is really robust in the month of February, bringing extremely above average precipitation to the Midwest, the South Gulf states, and also up to the Northeast, which again, the Northeast has really seen minimal snow over the past couple of years. And I think this is finally going to be the year for them to get their snowfall. I want to go ahead and show you guys my temperature outlook for this winter. And this is for overall winter. I do think anywhere north of this blue line, we are going to be seeing slightly above average temperatures, just barely above average. But I think it will be noticeable compared to the past couple of years where we've had some very warm temperatures and some very dry winters. And we see areas like Philadelphia is in there. We got New York City in there, much of the Northeast. And again, there are some very cold sea surface temperatures just off of the coast right here. These sea surface temperatures are going to aid in keeping these coastal areas cool that haven't really, been cool over the past couple of years. These areas have been rather warm and rainy over the past couple of years, but these cold sea surface temperatures off the coasts of Long Island, New Jersey, and Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, we're finally going to see some of these areas cash in on some of this cold air. And we're going to see some very cold temperatures this winter out in those areas. And now, anywhere above this very dark blue line, you guys are going to be seeing much above average temperatures. I already showed you guys. I do think there's going to be a lot of Arctic air coming in down from the north this year. Yeah, you guys are going to see over the course of this winter, especially as we get later in the winter, as that La Nina strengthens. This cold air is just going to continuously flow into the Midwest and into the northern areas. Any area below that's shaded in orange below of this line, any area that's shaded in orange, you guys are going to be seeing slightly above average temperatures. Anywhere shaded in brown right here, you guys are going to be seeing some above average temperatures as well, some more above average temperatures. I think it's going to be a hot and dry winter for these Southwest states, unfortunately for you guys. So here's my overall snowfall forecast. I know this is what everybody wants to see. Again, I've already talked about it a bunch of times this video. The northern states are really going to be cashing in on this cold air and on this precipitation that's going to be incoming. I do think much of the northern states will be seeing above average snowfall, above average precipitation. And I do think anywhere north of this blue line is going to be seeing some above average temperatures. That includes New York City, that includes Boston, that includes much of the Northeast, really. And then anywhere north of this dark blue line is going to be seeing much above average temperatures. I do think the lake effect season, I'm predicting the lake effect season will really ramp up this year. I do think they are due for a big lake effect year. And I think the lakes are going to be roaring this year with the La Nina. And of course, there are some areas that do miss out on precipitation. I think in general, precipitation will be decreased off in the Southwest, as we already discussed. La Nina, there's going to be less precip in some areas, and it's going to be the Southwest this year that's going to be dealing with less precipitation compared to the rest of the United States. All right, so here's my seasonal forecast now. And I tried to keep it simple. This is my first time making one of these. Trust me, as I learn how to do this, it's gonna get better over time. Yeah, so let's just get straight into it. So again, we're gonna start off down in the west and move our way to the east. So we do start off with a lot of cold and rainy activity up here in Oregon. It's parts of Idaho and Washington. What typically happens in La Nina years is that these areas do deal with above average rainfall and below average temperatures. And so, yeah, I do believe that area is going to be dealing with a lot of cold and a lot of seasonably cold air and a lot of rainfall throughout this winter. And working our way down south to the Southwest now, I think there's going to be a large portion in the Southwest United States that ends up being dry and warm on compared to the rest of the United States. I do think there's a large portion of the Southwest that's going to end up dry and warm. This white area is all frigid and snowy. We are going to see a lot of cold air moving its way down. That we're going to end up seeing a lot of snow out in these states, and a lot of cold air accompanying that snow. And moving east now, we're dealing with the Arctic Circle out here in the northern states, the states that border Canada. It's basically, I put Arctic Circle because it's basically going to be very, very cold. It's just going to be really cold out in those areas. And that's just going to be the winter for you guys, is a ton of cold air. And that is why Arctic Circle is there for you guys. Here's mixed bag now. So basically what that means, a lot of sleet, a lot of ice, and a lot of snow and rain. So I think really this area is going to be dealing with just sleet, a lot of snow, a lot of rain, and a lot of freezing rain as well over this winter. We're going to get a good mixture of storms. We're going to get a good mixture of rain. We're going to get a good mixture of sleet and ice storms. Moving our way south, we have storms and rain here. And I think as we move later into winter, we are going to see a lot of rainfall, and a lot of storminess picking up, a few thunderstorms picking up in this area. Working our way east, I did note that we are going to be seeing big nor'easters this year. I know this is something that a lot of you Northeast guys, especially New York, I'm looking at you, New York. This is a big thing that a lot of these Northeast guys have been waiting for. Is some big nor'easters. I think this is finally the winter where the Northeast cashes in on some of this cold air. It cashes in on some of this polar and Arctic blasts that they really have been missing out on some of this over the past couple of years. Okay, so we are going to see, I do believe we're going to see a lot of storms making their way out into this area, a lot of low pressure systems making their way out into this area. And what that's going to do is, again, that's a nor'easter. It's going to bring snow, it's going to bring wind, it's going to bring cold air to a lot of areas. And again, it's been a while for some of these northeastern states, mid-Atlantic states, since they've really gotten a big nor'easter, a big snowstorm. I think this is going to be the year where it finally happens. And finally, not really much to explain here with the mountains of snow. Um, it's lake effect. There's going to be mountains of snow in those areas. There's going to be a ton of just a ton of snow in some of these pink areas, and we're gonna see that snow just throughout the winter. We're just gonna constantly be hearing about lake effect snow throughout the early parts of the winter. And really, that's what I think we're going to start off with in the early parts of the winter. We're going to see a ton of lake effect snow as these lakes are extremely warm at the moment. And once a push of cold air comes down, that lake effect snow is just going to be unbelievable. All right, guys, so that is going to wrap it up for my winter weather forecast for 2024-25. If you have any specific locations that you'd like me to provide a forecast for, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. I will give you a more in-depth forecast of what I believe you guys can expect. Obviously, it's a little far out. You can't really put anything too in detail at this point in time. We can't do anything too in depth, but this is about the bare minimum as we could do here. And I thought, we had a little bit of a break, might as well go for it. So that's gonna do it today, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section as always. Feel free to drop a like and subscribe, and see you guys tomorrow.